Look, here's the thing. I think we have to also be sensitive to the fact that the Fed operates on a certain class of data. And that data in the 21st century is pretty pathetic. Nick, you can probably find this, but there was an article, I think it was in the New York Times, that really walked through how CPI is calculated. And it's a bunch of people that work for the government that walk around with iPads, building relationships with local businesses in all these random places all around the country and asking them to, chit chat for 15 minutes and do these surveys. Now, you would have thought that in 2023 or 2022, what the government would have said to, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, all the payment rails, the banks and Stripe is, send me a feed in the following structured way so that I can actually have an absolute precise sense of inflation, because inflation really only occurs when a good or a service trades hands for money, right? And you calculate what did that thing trade at the day before and what does it trade for today. So you could get an absolute precise sense of it. Instead, we do this random sampling thing and
subjective,
it's bad.
Humans, etc.
So if you read this article, your takeaway will be, oh my God, this is very rickety and it drives an enormous hammer that we use to try to manage the economy. That's the first thing. I think you need to buckle your seatbelt because the next 3, 4, 5 months of CPI will probably be very, very bad. 7, 8, 9%. Why? There are a handful of components that have gotten completely run away. Number one, the biggest one is rent. And so rent works on a 3-month lag. We're going to reintroduce what the true owner's equivalent rent is into CPI. So we can already forecast that CPI going up. Oil is at $105 a barrel. Russia is basically trying to break the back of Europe by now messing with their nat gas supplies. The German energy minister yesterday said that if that happens, it could be a contagion equivalent to Lehman Brothers with respect to energy. When you play all of these things out, what you have is unfortunately rampant runaway costs that really have no mechanism to get back in check in the absence of some real governmental changes. Our policy on this Ukraine-Russia war, how we intend to sort of work or cooperate or fight with China, all of these things have to get solved. So in the absence of that, prices are going to continue to go up. And so what does the Fed do? How does it throw away what little credibility it has left when there's 8 and 9% inflation prints and saying, we think we're done for right now? You can't do that. So they will overcorrect because there's just going to be so much pressure for them to act. All roads, I think, lead to lower equity prices. And I think what David said astutely is we've seen the first wave, but now it has to touch all these other areas. For example, we have gotten totally drunk on debt as a country. One of the most obvious places where we've been serving alcohol far too late into the night is in the financing of all these private equity leverage buyouts.
Yeah,
right?
Leverage is dangerous.
These are sketchy companies that are sort of like, teetering on insolvency at times, where private equity comes in, levers up the balance sheet with debt. They price it right to the edge of what's legally allowed or what's financeable, and then they go do it. But that's all assuming the economy continues to grow. And so if all of a sudden you have some recessionary forces or prices go up and earnings don't, you'll have, a contagion in the debt markets. You could have a contagion in the commodity market. So we're dealing with some really tough boundary conditions.